Hi, welcome to Anything is Possible. It has been a very, very long time since I posted anything on YouTube, and I have made some huge changes, and anything really is possible because now I actually am living in Mexico, and I moved from Southern Oregon in June this year, and I'm going to take you along with my whole decision-making process and how I actually accomplished the move all by myself. And I drove down with my two cats and my little dog Wookie, and found myself a wonderful place to live, and kind of living what I had always wanted to do, or at least for a long time. So I want to retrace my steps a little bit on how I ended up here. I picked up a book a long time ago. I can't even tell you how long ago it was, but it was probably at least 20 years ago. And the book was called Live Well in Mexico, and it was by Ken Luboff, Luboff, John Muir Publications. I'm reading from my notes here. And I read that book, and it really planted a seed in terms of Mexico is just a really wonderful place to live. The climate can be great in a lot of different places. It's very affordable. And there's just no reason why you can't just move to Mexico and live here. So I kind of just planted a little seed, and I go, well, that's kind of a cool idea. And I went on with my career and did life. And finally, in 2010, was the first time I realized I was working remotely, and I realized that I could pretty much live anywhere on the planet and do what I was doing, because I really never went into work anymore. And my partner at the time was a tax guy, and he started thinking about, well, yeah, maybe I could probably do it too. And so he, in fact, could pick up probably some clients down in Mexico, but we didn't know. We just thought, well, we better just go down there and see what it's like and see if we like it. So in 2010, we actually took my dad with us, and we rented a beautiful house in a town called Jocotepec, and it's at the very end of Lake Chapala, which is in Jalisco, Mexico. And we stayed there for, I guess it was probably about 10 days, and just explored all up and down the lake, all the little towns and villages, and got involved with some of the people that live here, the expats, which are people that are Mexicans or Canadians that have decided to move down here. And we just loved it. The climate is absolutely wonderful. We came back home and we thought, wow, I think I really want to do this. I think I want to move to Mexico. So, we kind of started thinking about it and planning. And so then we came back down in June of 2012, just my partner and me. And we stayed in the town of Ajijic. It's spelled Ajijic. And it's the real hub of where all the expats live. It's got a wonderful landscape building that is just a hub of activities and helpful information for people that move down there. And so we went, we met a lot more people and got more involved because we were right in the center of everything that trip, and started researching, talked to one lady who consulted with people that were planning to move down, and talked to them about all the details that need to be taken care of when you're moving, all the considerations of whether it's going to be right for you or not. And we decided, yeah, you know, this is going to work. So I had no doubts, and so I went home and I started packing with a vengeance. I mean, I started clearing out my stuff and packing and getting ready to sell my house. And I won't go into details, but basically things went very, very badly on that. And so the relationship ended, and 2 weeks before I was to move out of my house, I had a lot more to deal with than I expected, but I did move out of the house, and I decided rather than moving down to Mexico alone, I'd move up and be with my dad. So I stayed with him for the summer and then found a place to live, and I moved around different places, the Oregon coast and then inland, and I even bought a house and enjoyed. And that's the previous videos that I have was me and all the renovations I did with that house. It was, oh my gosh, I lived there and I worked so hard on that house. It was every spare minute I was renovating and redoing things, and I loved doing that. But it got to the point where I realized that I wasn't going to be able to keep that up. It was an acre of land that I had to take care of all myself, and the house, even though I was kind of done with most of the major projects, there was still just always maintenance, always things to do. And I realized that at my age, you know, I'm approaching 70, that I needed to find some place that was a little more manageable for one person to take care of. There were days when my arthritis was so bad, it was really hard for me just to get out and do what I needed to do. So there's a lot of other things that entered into my considerations. Climate change is a very real thing, and there was one day in June, it was in 2020 or 21, I think it was 20, it was 120 degrees in the shade on my patio, and I just thought, I can't do this. I mean, the summers were just getting so hot, and I had no air conditioning in my house and no heating. Of course, winters get very cold. Some winters more cold than others. There was usually some snow. And I got a really nice fireplace insert and a gas fireplace to put in the house, and it kept it cozy, but that's just being confined inside those long, dark winters. I mean, Oregon isn't as bad as further north, but it has long, dark days, and they're very cold, and it was just no fun. But the hot summers and then the wildfires, oh my God, the smoke, you couldn't go outside. I started having problems breathing and coughing a lot, and I realized after 2 or 3 years of that I really couldn't live through another summer breathing that smoke. It just happens every single year, and it's not getting any better. So that's when I started thinking I really need to just move, you know, between not being able to handle that house anymore and everything. So I kind of started revisiting the thought of moving to Mexico, and I didn't make another trip down. I had been down twice, and I'd researched it, and I knew what I was getting into. I have friends that have moved down and other friends who live here anyway, and they said things have changed. There's more people, more stuff been built up, but basically it's still a wonderful place to live. The climate here is very stable. The rainy season is in the summer, and May and June are the hot months when it can get up to over 90 degrees. But having lived through 120 degrees, I've just decided I could handle 90 degrees for, you know, a few weeks of the year. And the rest of the year, oh my gosh, it's just heavenly here every single day. So One thing and another, in 2021, it was, we'd been through COVID at that point and get the tail of it, kind of getting towards the end of it. But first my cat, Sassy, died. She was very old and had a lot of problems. And then my dog, Misty, died. So I was down to 2 cats and 1 dog, and my dad was struggling. I mean, COVID was really hard on him, but then it turns out he had heart problems, and then he fell, and he ended up having a broken elbow, which they couldn't fix because he's just too old. He was 103, and COVID was really hard on him because he's a very social guy, and he was completely isolated and cut off from everybody. And then once he started living in the health center, he needed more help, and people just kind of stopped coming to visit him. I think they found it kind of depressing because he was not well, and lonely and kind of sad. So I would go and visit a lot, and I'm so glad that I didn't move to Mexico when I first planned, because I got to have all those last years being with him, and I was there for him up until the very end, take care of him and go visit him and try and keep him having happy memories and recalling the good times we had and everything. But anyway, so finally in August of 2021, he passed away. And I came home, and I'd already been thinking, what am I going to do when he passes? And I had already given quite a lot of thought to moving to Mexico. And so that's when I just decided, you know what? I'm just going to start packing up and go. Before summer comes again, I just knew it was going to be another really hot, smoky summer, and I just said, I don't want to do that anymore. I just want to be someplace that's easier to take care of and has lovely weather. So that's the story of my move. I am going to do a separate video on the process of moving down here, because it's a whole video in itself. It's a lot of steps to it. But I just thought I'd give a little background on why I decided. And let me tell you, the first time we thought we would move, we got a lot of backlash from all kinds of people. And that was 12 years ago. And everybody was saying, you're crazy, it's so dangerous down there. Even one lady came up to my partner and said, you're gonna die. And it really freaked him out. I just have a lot of faith in things working out. You set a goal and you think of, I just kept thinking about the thousands of people that live down here and nothing ever happens. And the wonderful people that we had met, and the wonderful culture. I mean, the vast majority of people down here, and the people driving on the roads, never have any trouble at all. Then there are problems on the roads. I mean, you have to be very aware and not drive through areas that are known to have problems. But for the most part, nobody cares about you. I mean, as long as you're just driving on through, you got a destination, and especially me. I mean, it's like, by the time 2021 came around and I started saying, yeah, I'm going to move to Mexico, boy, people were much more supportive this time. I don't know why. Times have changed a lot. I think people were sick of COVID. And they're kind of sick of the politics in the U.S., and they just realized, a lot of people kind of feel like just getting out of Dodge, and doing something different, especially when you get to be my age. It's like, heck, you got a bucket list, you better start checking it off, because you just don't know how much more time you've got. And I'm pretty healthy and all, but I just felt like, if I don't do it now, I'm not going to do it. I got to just pack up, sell the house, and get moved, because you never know, your health could turn south, and then you'd be stuck living in that hot, smoky, snowy climate that I just found was not doable anymore. So anyway, that's the story. I found most people were very supportive. Also, I want to just say one more last thing about Mexico is, there's a lot of places in the world that have great climates, or at least a decent climate, and they're fun and they're an adventure. Why Mexico? People kept saying, why did you decide on Mexico? And I'm like, well, it's close. It's really close. I mean, I'm going to be taking a flight up to the U.S., and I'm flying into Phoenix. That's a 2-hour flight. It's nothing. And it's not that expensive. And so, people want to come down here. If they get fed up with the hot, smoky summers or the cold, snowy, dark winters, come on down. I've got a spare bedroom. So I've got friends and family that I hope will come and see me. But if not, well, I can always head north if I get homesick or whatever. But I just thought I'd give it a shot. And, nothing's ever forever. I mean, it's like I may live here forever. I don't know. But I just thought I need to get down here and give it a good shot and get settled. Find some place that I feel comfortable. And let me tell you, every morning I wake up and I just feel, I'm so glad. It was a big, big effort. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It is really hard. And I will go through that in another video. All of the steps it takes to get moved, especially one person alone, and driving down here. It was really hard, but I'm glad I did it. So anyway, that is the beginning of my new journey, and I will be taking you along. My intent on this, at least to start with, is to kind of give some ins and outs. I've watched a lot of videos on people living down here and brief overviews of people that are on travel shows that show, like, this is what this city's like. You can watch all of those you want, but let me tell you, the reality of actually living here is it's a different world, and it takes some adaptation, and maybe I can clue you in, if you're thinking of doing this, is some of the things are kind of surprises when you get down here and get blindsided. So anyway, anything is possible, and I just want you to know, if you've got a dream, go ahead and go for it, because this is life, and you only get one turn. So I will see you in the next video. Take care.